Oasis Audio presents Stratagem by Robin Caroll, read for you by Pamela Klein. Prologue. According to your estimation, she has 8 minutes to figure out she can't open the door unless her employee uses the key he got in the last room. Pam leaned back in the chair and tilted her head toward the live feed. Her brightly dyed hair shimmered with the movement. The woman on the screen stumbled around in the room. Her breathing came out labored, harsh in contrast to her platinum blonde hair that caught the dim light. She ran to the only visible exit and turned the knob. Her body slumped against the locked door. They'll get it. Grayson was rarely off by more than a few minutes at most. His job was to study the financial, medical, background, and psychological reports on each of the game participants to find their weaknesses and strengths, then use it all against them. To break them to the point where they couldn't escape the game, win, unless they worked as a team. That was the whole purpose of the games, and why they signed waivers. I think you read her wrong. Pam tapped the monitor and took a sip of her white mocha. I bet they won't escape according to your time frame. Grayson grinned at his collaborator. Wouldn't be the first time I misjudged. He stared at the blonde woman, now on her feet again, running her hands over the walls. But I don't think that's the case with this one. $20 says you're wrong. Pam dug a bill out of the back pocket of her jeans and slapped it on the long desk they shared. He shook his head. Why must you bet on every single game we run? Adds to the excitement. Grinning, she shrugged. Are you going to put your money where your calculations are, hotshot? Of course. He laid a 20 on top of Pam's and stared at the woman on the monitor. 6 minutes. The blonde woman's hands fisted at her side. Grayson could almost feel her frustration as he gave the computer command that opened the sliding hidden passageway. The woman's employee all but fell into the room. The blonde rushed to help him. Grayson smiled as the woman helped the man stand. Just as he'd predicted, her nurturing instincts kicked in. He pressed another button, and a recording of a child crying out for her mother filled the room. One of the woman's greatest fears was being unable to protect her child. The woman pounded on the door. Her employee eased in front of her and rammed his shoulder against the door. His protective instinct came right on time, as Grayson had estimated. 4 minutes. Pam leaned forward, closer to the monitor. It might be close. The woman sobbed, shoulders shaking as she hung her head. She's freaking. Pam rubbed her hands together and pushed the button to increase the volume on the child's wails. The woman slumped against the wall beside the door, defeated. That's almost cheating. Grayson leaned forward, his nose nearly pressing against the monitor. This was the most intense part of the game, the flipping of personalities. The employee, saving the employer, served a twofold purpose. The employee built confidence in himself as a vital part of the company team, and the employer learned that the company can accomplish nothing without the input and dedication of its workers. The woman shook herself and turned to beat on the door, almost in hysterics. She twisted the knob, rattling the lock. 1 minute. Pam rubbed her hands together. Come on, man, figure it out. Grayson locked his jaw, concentrating on the monitor. 30 seconds. The more frantically she turned the knob, the louder the lock rattled. The man hesitated in his ramming. That's right. The key. It's in your pocket. 20. Slowly, the man pulled the key from his jacket pocket and thrust it at his boss. No! Pam glanced at the timer. 10 seconds. The woman turned the knob, and she and the man both slipped through the door. Grayson stared at the timer. With 4 seconds to spare, he grabbed both 20s. Pam shook her head but grinned. You make me sick. You know that, right? He waggled his eyebrows. When are you going to learn not to bet against me? Grayson stood as the monitor flipped to the recovery room, where the man and woman were taking bottles of water from Grayson's congenial business.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?